Hi, my name is Vivian Acquah, and this is Let's Humanize the Workplace. I even have to think about what am I going to say because the last few months have been about Amplify DEI, Amplify diversity, equity, and inclusion, and it has been an amazing joyride, an amazing roller coaster, and I'm excited to be here today, tonight, or maybe your morning, maybe your afternoon, or maybe your evening. Vivian Acquah, the inclusive workplace wellness advocate, and know that this conversation is not only about me. So I'll bring in my guests one by one, and give me a moment because it's been a while, right? It's been a while that I organized this, so I bring in my guests one by one, and they also have a bio. So give me a moment so that I can read it. Yes, Paul Spiers is the founder of the New P&L Brand Purpose Institute, also the host of the New P&L Principles and Leadership, so not profit and loss, principles and leadership in business podcast series. Gabriela Encina is a psychologist who supports internationals through counseling to overcome mental health struggles that life abroad brings to people as well. And Asiya Hasan-Damen is a global soul and DEI advocate for over 20 years of experience in building diverse, high performing teams across the three continents. And today's topic is about the return to the office because I've been seeing a lot of, news articles, and of course I have my insights and my thoughts, but just to start the conversation, I'm biased because my bias can be huge. I don't want to, spread that all around. So I'll start with Paul. Why do we need to humanize the workplace? What is your definition? Because you have a way of sharing, like it's about purpose, right? It's about purpose and leadership instead of profit and loss. What's your definition?
I guess that the question for me would be why wouldn't you want to humanize the workplace? Not why do we need to? Because
Mm,
I don't see for me personally, I don't see the downside you know in humanizing the workplace, and I question the capabilities of businesses and leaders that mitigate against it in some way. Because
yeah.
for me personally, I don't understand how a more inclusive, more empathetic, more flexible, more creative environment is not more conducive to productivity and creativity and loyalty and empowerment. So
Mm,
it just seems to be the natural, the right, and the sensible thing to do, both from a personal perspective, but
mhm.
also if we want to be that way from a commercial perspective as well.
Yeah, you
Mhm.
mentioned something about loyalty, and I'm going to connect that with, the recent news headlines that I see, the great resignation, right? Because loyalty is not a one-side thing, or is it?
No.
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 I'm just putting it out there. So there is this hype about the great resignation, and you need to humanize the workplace because, or
Mhm.
else your your people, your talent will walk away earlier than before. So thank you for sharing that. And I'll give the mic to Gabriela.
Well, I second what Paul said. And
Hmm.
also, we need to humanize the workplace because of a simple thing: motivation.
Mm,
Motivated people
yeah.
are more committed to the work, to the mission and vision of the
Mm.
company or the workplace per se. So if you humanize the workplace, people are more connected, are more loyal, are
Hmm.
motivated to a common goal or goals that are related to the workplace. So for me, it's as simple as that: motivate people. And by being motivated, connected, and committed to the
Yeah.
workplace.
It reminds me of, it's silly, but it's a thought that was created here in the Netherlands. It's not from me, so don't pin me on my words, but they do say happy cows give more milk, right? And if people are happy, they are willing to go beyond that
Yeah.
100% that you're seeking from them, but also will treat the workplace as their new home, their new family, and a
Yeah.
way to connect with people, right? So thank
Yeah.
you.
Mhm.
Asiya.
So I was thinking about this question, and humanize means to be gentler, to be kinder,
Mm,
and to actually make it more appealing to people. So if you just
mhm,
even think about that definition of what is humanize, those are all things that need to be in our daily lives and
mhm.
in the workplace. And it's very much linked to what both Gabriela and Paul have said, which is, we have to have more empathy in the workplace. We have to have empathetic leadership. And it's the cornerstone of what you do, Vivian, with diversity, inclusion, equity, and
Absolutely.
belonging, because without that empathy, none of that work can happen.
Yeah.
So it is about humanizing, it's about making it more empathetic, and it's about listening.
Hmm. I'm gonna challenge you and assume that there might be people out there that don't really understand the definition of empathy, or there might be people that have lost that definition, especially during COVID. We have a lot on our mind. So, can you break empathy down in something simple? What is it, and what is it basically?
It's the ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes.
Hmm.
Mhm.
I mean, as simple as that. So, and I'm going to give you my 11-year-old girl example, because this is
Mm-hmm.
what I always say to her, how would you feel if
Yeah.
somebody did that to you? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have these little 11-year-old spats and there's lots of tears, and you say,
No.
so great. I understand what you said, but just stop for a moment to think how they felt. What if that happened to you?
Yeah.
Oh,
Exactly.
right.
Mhm.
Now you take
Mhm.
that into a workplace, and well, it's amplified.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you for
And
making it simple as
can
well.
I
And
can I
yeah,
add
of
something?
course. Yeah.
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 It's a perfect definition what Asiya said, and it's a very good way to explain it. And also be there and listen,
Mm.
because people sometimes tend to give advices or diminish what the other person is feeling by, okay, but it could be worse, or yeah, it's not that bad, or look at the bright side. And empathy also has to do with the ability to be there and listen.
I want to challenge you because there
Oh,
are,
again.
you can listen and you can listen. Can you
Yeah.
share the other listening part, what I'm meaning towards? Because there's listening and there is the other dot. Should I say it?
Go for it, Vivian.
Yeah.
Active listening.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Because I can easily listen, and I do this multitasking where I'm listening to this and not actively listening
Mm-hmm.
to a person, not letting it soak into my mind or let it marinate. But there's also a part where you can actively, without saying anything,
Yeah.
without doing anything, but just acknowledging, right? During this conversation, you'll see me
Absolutely.
nodding my head from time to time because I'm acknowledging it, but also because I'm really listening to what my guest speakers are saying as well. So
Mm-hmm.
thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I can see a few comments coming in, and
Oh.
ooh, we have a fan. Gustavo is here. I don't know who tagged him in, but thank you, Gustavo, for being here. And he's already taking over the show. So I will definitely ask your questions, but thank you for being here. So the next question is, should companies activate an onboarding process for their employees now that offices are opening up? And I will start with Gabriela because it seems a bit weird to introduce, an employee that used to work in the office to reintroduce them again to the office. But what is your thinking in this?
Mm-hmm. Two things. The
Mm-hmm.
first one is we are all experiencing more or less reentry anxiety
Yeah.
in different socializing, also workplace or family meetings, etc. So this anxiety can taint the way we
Mm.
see things and we experience things
Mhm.
in comparison what we experienced before. So having an one-on-one, and I'm holding your hand and guiding you again
Well, no
through
hand
this.
holding.
Okay, not okay. How would you say it instead of hand holding?
Virtual hand
Showing.
holding. Like
Okay, virtual hand. with gloves,
Yes.
showing you how it is now and what
Mhm.
differences are in comparison to before. That's the first thing. And the second thing is we need in this in the midst of this anxiety, we need structure.
Yeah.
We need something. The squarer, the better. When we have anxiety, so we need when we have a structure and a procedure as easy as possible, we reduce this anxiety and we can perform better.
Yeah.
I love that. I forgot to share the awesome card, but know that I sometimes do have my awesome card here. So, Asiya.
Yeah, I think that we've just been through such a period of sustained stress. So back to what Gabriela was saying, right?
Yeah.
And what was before is no longer. So,
Yeah.
we heard for a long time at the beginning of lockdown here, oh, when we go back to normal, when we go back to how it was, but you can't go
Going
back
back to work, and I'm
yeah, going
thinking,
back to work.
what
But
have I been doing all this time,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. When I go back to work, and it's like there is, what are you going to go back to? Because so much has happened, so much has changed since when we
Yeah.
started. I mean, I still remember February 2020 when we started sort of towards the end of that, going into lockdown here. So I think, yes, you definitely need to have some kind of an onboarding process. But also, I think I would say the onboarding has to be allow people to feel if they can come back in, not come back in virtually, be virtual. And I think that the one thing that I'm finding is that we're being pushed and almost herded into
Yeah.
back into the office. And I was having this discussion with somebody else the other day who said, we're really open to hybrid. And I said, well, what happens if somebody decides not to come in? Is their career going to be affected? Are they going to miss out on a meeting? Will they not be part of that? If they're listening in virtually and everybody else is in a room, do they get forgotten? Like how are you actually navigating all these things? And I think onboarding should be for that sort of practical stuff. You talk about the box, Gabriela. That's the box. Those things that say we're actually looking at all these different dimensions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Paul, you got to top that now.
Yeah, a couple of hard acts to follow. I think there should be an onboarding process, but I don't think it should be just exclusive to the practical elements of onboarding. So this is how you come back to work. This is what the work now looks like. This is what the physical space looks like. But actually, we have I hope it's a once in a lifetime opportunity brands have to re-engage at all sorts of levels with their employees. How they communicate with them. Reintroduce the principles and purpose that underpin it. They've got an opportunity to create genuine dialogues rather than just monologues. We should look at it as brand or business leaders, look at it positively, to put some of those things we did wrong or we let slide in the past and actually reframe the whole conversation with employees. And that's got to start with leaders recognizing or stating how we're going to move forward together, rather than this is my plan for us to move forward together. We can start by having that dialogue and reinstigating some of those things that naturally drift away in any business at any time. But I hope we won't have this opportunity again to draw a clear line in the sand and say, this is our business for the future. This is how we're positively going to engage and move forward with purpose.
Yeah.
And also realize, right, some people thrive from working from home. Some people feel safer whilst working from home. And I feel like nobody's asking the right questions. Do you want to go back? Are you willing to come back maybe 2 days? Are you willing to work from home? How are we doing it, with the kids? Or maybe you are a caregiver. When it comes to mental health, because that's a topic that seems to be new, talking about mental well-being. And I've been advocating for that for a long time, that it should be normalized, but realizing that everybody has their anxiety levels. I mean, I was just disclosing just before we started this show, this broadcast, that it's weird for me to be amongst people. I've just been to a few, meetups, a few offline events where I hosted a workshop, did a few things. I'm not ready yet. So for the people that, want to hire me for offline things, I'm not ready yet because it's my brain needs time to process it.
Yeah.
And I do feel safer. I feel safer from working at home. And will I be there yet? I hope someday I will. But for now, I'm not there yet. That's what I learned. Yeah. Thank you. And Asiya, can you share one tip for leaders that how they can support their team members when it comes to returning to the office? So you mentioned in the previous thing that not everybody is maybe ready to go back to work. How would you support that manager? What would you say to that manager to support their team?
I think it's back to, you said it, it's about actively listening and understanding what people want to do. And if they don't want to come back, perhaps trying to understand why. And I think trust, that's the other thing. I think we've lost a lot of trust over this time because if we don't see it, we can't control it. And if we can't control it, we don't trust it. And now we suddenly have this opportunity to control again. And it's such a natural go-to for so many leaders, because unfortunately it's totally suffocating, but it's also unfortunately a very sort of old school way of leadership, this command and control. But we still live in a world where there is a lot of that. So I think the natural instinct is I want to see you. If I don't see you and I have people in the office, I know the people who are here are doing their job and people at home are not, so all those dynamics are coming up. And so I think being able, if you are a leader of a team, you need to be able to really listen, you need to ask, and then you need to respect the decision, right? So back to what Paul was saying, you can't just go, this is what you have to do. You've got to, if you ask the question, you've got to be willing to hear any answer and respect what you hear back.
Yeah, and I see Gustavo is also shared what is needed, why are we returning? And that's a valid question, because is it needed just because company XYZ? And I think it was one of the Silicon, I don't remember which one, so instead of me naming one of the Silicon Valley companies, it might be Google, it might be Facebook, might be LinkedIn or Twitter, was a while ago was stating that they wanted their people back to office, but then they decided later on, because headlines and other news perspective were sharing like, okay, other tech companies are basically telling their people, saying that you can work from home, everything is okay. So when they noticed that, they had to really take a step back and see what other companies are doing, right?
But also I think that's not, I think that probably is more Paul's area, but that's really not, if you're changing your mind because you've suddenly heard that a competitor is doing it, obviously there's something within your own purpose and leadership that's not quite aligned. So yes, they might have done it, and yes, they might have scathed the headlines and PR, but the truth is their core has not changed.
I can feel a little bit salt, pepper in your comments, so I like it. Paul.
I think leaders or managers in businesses have to question first the assumptions upon which they're asking people to come back. So, if you're really honest with yourself as a leader, is it because it just feels right? Is it because you want to exert your control that you lost for the last 18 months? Is there a genuine practical reason? I think if you start asking and testing your assumptions and working with someone to test those assumptions, maybe you'll find, and you're honest about those reasons, maybe you'll find a place in the middle which works for both parties, if you like. And I do think this is also, businesses have talked about their agility and their creativity for years. Well, this is an opportunity to demonstrate agility and creative thinking a bit, and finding a new solution that perhaps isn't the obvious of either everyone in the office or everyone at home. You know, there is a route to a solution in every individual business, but let's use the agility and the creative thinking we've all told everyone we've had for years. Let's actually utilize it sensibly and find a solution to it.
Yeah, I also see the opportunity. I think it was during Amplify DEI where one of my speakers, I think it was Julie Turney, who highlighted that a lot of people who are neurodiverse are not being utilized, are not being amplified to use their skills. And if they can use their skills while working safely from home, that in a way can also solve the war for talent, because I feel like the war for talent is coming back even much more worse than it was before. In the Netherlands, they are already talking about, people leaving the workplace within a few months or not even coming in because the pay isn't right. It's not the pay, people. Think about inclusion, do that, and then, you'll find your people, but that's a whole nother topic. I feel like we are not focusing on the right things.
Yeah.
No. We're
Agreed.
not.
Thank you. Gabriela.
I was thinking the whole time about this question in particular, and I think modeling through the courage that comes from vulnerability. The leaders experienced the same or similar things as the people working for them or with them.
True, but there is I do have to mention this. Even though we all are in the same storm, some people have yacht. Some people are in, in a smaller boat, and some people are floating in a rubber boat.
Yeah.
That's all. That's the only point I want to make.
I agree.
Yeah.
But if they are in your company and you want to lead and open the space for people to be vulnerable and to express what they need, what they want, and as Paul said before, to rebuild or to be creative and use the opportunity that we only hopefully this only opportunity to do that in the sense of in the midst of a pandemic, give room and space and offer the possibility. I think it can be game changer in a yacht, in a boat, wherever they are and wherever they think they are. Modeling through their behavior can be a game changer in that sense.
True. I see an amazing comment from Charles, and he's sharing, and I feel the same. He's sharing, commuting is pouring your life away. For me, the cons of that time sink outweighs the pros of being in the office, and I have to agree with him. So coming to the next question, and I'll did I start with Asiya? Did I start with you? I lost track. Sorry. I have to get into this mode again, so I'll start with Gabriela. What advice would you give to individuals who are not ready yet to return to the office? So especially from your background, right? What's the one thing that you would say to them so that they can share, I'm not ready?
Listening to themselves and what they need, because there are so many shoulds now. So many, and it's so difficult to get out or to listen to your voice, to your own voice, in the middle of all these shoulds. Comparing to others,
they should go to the office, they should do this, they should do that, they should do blah, blah, blah.
Exactly. And not only because of people telling them, but because of themselves imposing these shoulds. So listening to what you want. Do you want to come back to the office? What are the pros? What are the cons? Do you have the possibility to share that with the people in the company? If not, what plan B can you elaborate? Do you have like, if you have to go, there is no other way, what can you do to reduce the anxiety to go there or after going there? Like all these possibilities in your head, but the first and most important thing is listening to what you want and need.
Yeah,
that sounds so obvious. Sorry, but it is not. In my clients, I see I should come back. Everybody's coming back. So that's very, very
we sometimes
strong.
forget the obvious, right? So having a reminder of what seems obvious for other people, sometimes when you deal with anxiety, you only think about that challenge or that pink elephant that you see is blocking your way, where you don't notice the simple things that are surrounding that pink elephant. So it's good that you're stating the obvious. Thank you. Paul?
I think Gabriela's hit the nail on the head with the listening to yourself. I think it's a challenging question to answer, because everyone's got a slightly different reason for not wanting to return, and many are very understandable. But the one thing I guess I would also say is to look at both sides. There are important benefits to socialization, to collaboration, and many other things that we need. We need as humans. It's a thank you very much. It is an important part of our human condition, socialization, and I think we have, in some ways, and I can only speak from my own personal experience, slipped in the last 18 months to being quite comfortable at home. But I went into London last week for the first time in literally 18 months, since the 23rd of March. And I'd put it off and off and off because I just nudged it back. But actually I was so inspired by going in, because I work in part in the creative industries, and seeing the vibrancy and the colors and the ads and the things going on in the street, and it really gave me a spark of inspiration and that I haven't experienced at that level or that intensity for 18 months. So I guess the short answer is to think about the positive things that you do get from work as well, that accidental and incidental creativity, that serendipity that you get, the conversations, the connection, the engagement, because there are two sides to it, I guess.
True. True. Thank you for highlighting the other side of the story. Thank you. Now, Asiya.
I think it's also understanding, and it's probably close to what Gabriela was saying, is what is it that's causing that discomfort or that unease of not wanting to go back. Excuse me. And I think digging into that, because that may give you a lot more answers than you think.
Yeah, I feel like we need to be respectful also, but also realizing that some people are joining a company during this whole lockdown, right? And they don't have that real-to-real conversation or real-to-real connection with some of their colleagues. And what I also hear in some of my clients, that they need to be reintroduced to them, and also find a way to connect on-site, but also off-site as well, because we did not have the chance to. They onboarded, but it's different. It's different when you do it from a distance, and it's a way to reconnect again with the coffee. When you're grabbing your coffee and having that tiny conversations. Instead of talking to your partner at home. I mean, I love my partner, but he's not my colleague. He's not my type of colleague. So I'm, in a way, also for me, from time to time, I'm craving for people that understand me, that understand the work that I do, and not having these boring conversations at home. He's gonna kill me for saying that, but that's something I'll deal with later. This is an off-topic thing, but I think I can share. I can ask that. When it comes to going to gatherings and going to events, are you ready? Gabriela, are you ready?
Under certain conditions.
Okay, what are your conditions? Just share it with me.
My conditions are not a crowd. Definitely in an open space.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's a closed space with masks and with I don't know, with the security that I don't know if it will give me security, because I still be very aware of my physical touches and embraces and etc. But I've tried and it has been okay, but I feel still the anxiety, and I feel still that I'm very aware who's near me, and I'm very aware who's wearing masks, who's not wearing masks, and I'm very aware of the age of the people surrounding me. So I'm ready, but I'm taking my time.
So with you, it feels like people need to have a distance of 1 meter when they approach you. Is that a safe distance to approach you, or
people that I don't know? Yes.
Yeah,
I mean, like
I
the
understand
arm
that.
distance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good to know. Good to know. Asiya.
I don't think I'm ready to go back to super crowded places yet.
And what is super crowded? Because it can be, in my mind, it can be 50 or it
Well,
can be.
I think gatherings. So well, we were at a gathering recently, Vivian, and I think that was okay because it was not too busy. It was
my first.
It was quite a bit of space between the humans. But I think if that gathering had been every single seat in the house taken, I'm not sure I would have been there. So I think we used to walk into a room and a good gathering meant the room was full.
Yeah.
I think now for me, a good gathering means we have a half full. It's a gathering. We're not full capacity. This is good. This feels safe. So it's So I think for me, that's definitely not.
So can this also be applied to the workplace then?
Yeah, I think the same thing. If you're in the office and the office is totally packed at maximum capacity, I'd be thinking twice.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm there and there's people around me, but it doesn't feel too busy.
Yeah, I get that. Thank you. And Paul?
Because you're inside.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No, I was just going to say you are inside, and unlike Gabriela, who's living in sunshine, the rest of us live in. There's no window opening happening in the office. It's like, put on your coat, put on your hat.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Paul?
I would agree with everything that's been said. I'm ready. I'm ready to go back, ready to meet people. I'm keen to re-engage and socialize, but I'm apprehensive as well. So I think it is one step at a time. I've been to a few outdoor things, whether it's watching sports or whatever the case may be, but not that I have been clubbing for many years, but I wouldn't walk into a club, because it's just too intensive and too busy for me at the moment. So I think for everyone, you've just got to. Some people are keen to just jump straight back in, but I think it will be a gradual process for many people, and things may hopefully slowly improve alongside the slow reintegration you're taking, and so eventually you end up in a better place. But I do think it is a landmark for the way we do many things in work and socialize and everything else. It's also showing an enormous amount of innovation. True. The way businesses have addressed it,
True, because I think that 15 years ago, would it be possible to work remotely from home? Because it has been a blocker for so many conversations. Like, I want to work from home. No, we don't have the capacity, or no, we don't have the right tools. And now, I mean, even my son could be homeschooled. Not that I'm inviting the homeschooling part again, because that caused me to go over the edge mentally wise. That was a whole nother juggling game that was happening. Yeah. I can see Dee Holloway chiming in from Cleveland, Ohio. So we are going all over the world right now. And Dee Holloway is sharing, I've been home for the last 2 years. went to the workplace today for about an hour or so, and it felt different. I still prefer to be home. And thank you for sharing that. This is a good conversation. Thank you. I was also thinking about something that popped up, because there are some countries, and I believe it was Italy, that is demanding that people need to be either vaccinated. And I'm not going to dibble dabble in the discussion whether you should be vaccinated or not. That's not this platform. What I am going to have a conversation about is, I'm all about inclusion. If people choose to not to be vaccinated, is it the way to force people to have their corona pass or the QR code so that they could be able to do their job? I feel like we are excluding people, and we are basically putting a knife to their throats, not even considering what they stand for, their beliefs, right? How do you feel about that?
I totally agree, and I think there should be more conversations about that. Not about get the vaccine or not get the vaccine, but why aren't you getting the vaccine? So much people as are being just stamped. How do you say stampled? Like put in
are labeled.
Labeled. Thank you.
Yeah.
Like, okay, if you're not getting the vaccine, you're stupid. You're a negationist. You're a conspiracy theoretical, etc., and not hearing other possibilities. And they're just being in countries like Austria. That's what I get the news from. They are called COVIDiots, like idiots, COVIDiots, COVIDioten, and in German. And they think, I mean, how blind can you be that you think that you can motivate people to get the vaccine by treating them like idiots? So it's very close to my heart, this topic, because it is not the way, and it's not inclusive at all. It is the contrary, and it shows how much is needed to have this conversation and to hear, to actively listen what these people want to say. They are not all conspiracy theorists.
True.
You know what I mean.
I get you. I mean, it's easy for people to be labeled under one. We in the Netherlands, we have a name, but I'm not going to repeat it. Let's say that they are being called the crazy people, and there are different reasons why people are not, wanting to get the vaccination. And I respect each and every one of them, but I never would see the Netherlands demanding of people to have their pass ready in the workplace. But on the other hand, there are people that have, certain illnesses that want to know if the workplace is safe or not. And that's you're blocked, you're doomed if you don't, and you're doomed if you do situation.
I think it comes back to empathy again, Vivian, because it's empathy on both sides, right? It's the empathy to say, you know what, if you're not vaccinated and you show up and I have a condition, you're actually putting me in danger.
True.
Right?
True.
So there's that aspect, which is never seen, because a lot of the conversation comes down to it's my freedom of choice. But equally, it could be that you can't be vaccinated for some reason, and I'm just assuming that you're choosing not to do it. And I think it's that ability to listen is really important. And then, there's that gray area in between where, we all know that on both sides, there is no listening. People are just doing whatever the hell they want. So I think I think the empathy card is really important on this one too, because
I love that.
It's understanding that. No, it's understanding that,
And Paul?
There's a bit of despair for me, because the last thing we need is one more thing to polarize ourselves in the world at the moment, and that's what this is doing, I guess, in some respects. We don't need to create any more us and others in the world than we've already got. And I understand. I do try to understand both sides and to think about it and consider the arguments, if you like, or the reasons why on both sides. But I think that the principle of a mandate makes me slightly uncomfortable, I think, particularly in democracies. I think that's where I worry, and I don't know what the end. I don't know what the
You
end game
mentioned
is.
something very funny. A mandate in a democracy.
Yeah,
That's weird, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess there are other mandates. You've got to pay tax. You've got to do other things. But it's the principle of this that concerns me. Not so much this in itself, but where that leads over time, and what else, have we set precedents, I guess.
Yes. Which leads me to the last question, and that is, we are, almost at the end of 2021, and I see that I need to change my question, but still we have 2 more years or something, or three more years before 2025 starts. But what do you wish to see when it comes to 2025, humanizing the workplace and returning to the office, right? Will we be in a situation where we can work hybrid, or where we can choose and to tick the box? Can we work from home? Where will we be? And I'll start with you, Paul.
I'll take a slightly different angle on this, and I think over the pandemic, lots of owners and leaders of businesses have realized that they don't have all of the answers, and they've turned perhaps for the first time in some cases to their staff to look for the creative and innovative ideas to help them move forward. Traditionally, they would have gone out to consultants, and now they've actually looked inwards. So I would hope actually by 2025, in terms of humanizing, that people's creativity has been unleashed a bit more in business. And the power of someone believing in your idea is so emotionally powerful, and it has so many knock-on effects in terms of all of those other things within a business, feeling included, feeling empowered, feeling listened to, and those other things. That would be my hope, that the creativity that maybe has been a little bit unlocked within business over the last 18 months is now embraced by leaders, and they turn to their employees more, rather than going back out to people who don't really understand the business for the solutions.
Yeah. I second that, and thank you for sharing that as well. Asiya.
I think for me it would be around trust, because I think that's a thing that's really missing currently in a lot of workplaces. And can we get to a point where we trust where we work, and vice versa, right? And then things like the Great Resignation don't exist. Because there's a fundamental trust and respect on both sides of the fence.
Sure.
Because, it's a two-way street.
Yeah.
And, as employees, you go in and give something, and as employers, you also need to give something. And I think that tipping of scales is still very nebulous. It's not, it's still not quite tipped at an equal level. And, and I think I would love to believe that in 2025, we have more trust in the places we work, and that the people who we work for have more trust in us as humans.
I love that. Thank you. Gabriela.
I was thinking about flexibility and openness, and being open to new solutions, and being open to, as you said before, 15 years ago, nobody working from home was equal to doing nothing.
Yeah.
Or if someone has had the ability or the equipment to work from home. But now we know that we can, and actually it can be counterproductive in the sense of we work more at home than in the workplace. But that's another discussion. Being open to what your employees want, what do you want, and what is best for the companies, and what is best for your human resources. And whatever it is, it can be something that they propose that might seem crazy, but give it a try. Be flexible, be open, and seconding Asiya, trust.
Yeah.
Trust on the people that work with you, and trust yourself.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I would like to add let's redefine what is an office, because my office is everywhere, right? Everywhere where I can go with my laptop. If I have my 2 monitors and my good Wi-Fi, or better yet LAN, I'm happy to work wherever, because I have my tools and my systems in place to be at my best. So let's redefine what an office means for people, and maybe some offices need to take place at home, right? Have a special studio where you can redesign it, but also realizing that when you are bringing in people that can work from home, you can tap into those who are being left out just because you want to go to a concrete building.
Yeah.
And that's another way to tap into neurodiversity. That's another way to tap into people with special abilities that can function amazing when they're doing the work from home, but they need a little support. So all I can say is think outside of the boxes
Yeah.
and think how you can amplify your talent, but also think how you can keep your talent, right? Think about the ways that maybe your competitors are doing or not yet utilizing, so that you can attract your talent.
Absolutely.
Let's keep it to that. So thank you, Paul. Thank you, Asiya. Thank you,
Thank you.
Gabriela, for having this conversation. It was my first time in a while. It has been months. And it feels always refreshing to have different perspectives. You see, that's the power of diversity, right?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Vivian.
Thank you for
very
giving
much.
us the space,
Thanks,
Vivian,
Paul.
to
Yeah,
talk about
absolutely.
this.
You're welcome.
These
You're welcome.
important topics.
Until next time, everybody. I'm not going to host Humanize the Workplace every week. I will be here bi-weekly, but know that I'll definitely share more and keep you energized with all the different topics that are coming. So until next time, bye,
Thank you,
everybody.
Vivian. Bye.
Ciao.
Ciao.